the battle of the Florida boys. I feel like we play a
Yeah,
Florida team every single
they
year in
do.
preseason.
They like to keep it teams. They try to keep it teams within the same geography that's not playing the team that year. So like Houston, Atlanta, Jacksonville, like all kind of in that area. So to wrap it out with Jacksonville, and it's kind of like going into the first preseason game where you really have no idea what the team's going to look like going into. I'm just going to say that now. Like it is a complete guessing game at this point, at the time of us doing this stream, at the time of recording this. Like the first preseason game, you assume the starters aren't going to play, and the second one is where you see the majority of the guys get out there and play, and then the third one is again just as much of a guessing game because I'm pretty sure last year did Tua play in the third preseason? I think he played like one drive in the Eagles preseason game last
No,
year,
he
or did he not play at all?
well, the Eagles wasn't the last one though. The Eagles was the second one.
What was the last one last
Eagles,
year?
the last one, was it the Falcons?
I don't remember. It's
Like, I
preseason
don't
games.
remember. I don't remember in particular. I remember you missed the Eagles game.
Yeah.
Uh, and that was the first time Tyreek was in a Dolphins uniform, and Tua just threw an absolute bomb to
No,
him on
yeah.
the first play.
Yeah. That I remember. If that was the second one, that makes sense because again, that's where you get the starters out there. You throw them out there. You get to play. This is the last chance for a lot of guys to earn their spot on the team. Now, there's so many things that are already figured out, but there's still a lot to be decided. Like we saw news today, like Robbie Anderson apparently had a pretty good day of practice. Him, Braxton Berrios, Eric Hazukama. This is a great opportunity for them to get live reps in a game to figure out who is that wide receiver 3. For the cornerbacks, you have Igbo. You have guys who are still coming back from injury, so he's probably going to end up as that number 2 there. But you have Cater Kahu that could potentially get it. You have Cam Smith that potentially get it. Are they going to play at all? Probably not. But you never know. You can see it. There's just so many places around the field that you can highlight and watch and see the people fighting out there. So I don't want Tua out there. I don't want Tyreek out there. I don't want guys who we know what they're going to be. I want it to be, assuming his concussion is fine, I want to see Mike White one half, Scott Thompson the other, and I want to. This probably isn't going to happen, but I'd like to see them get the exact same wide receiver core, so we can then judge them based on the guys that they're playing with. They're playing with the exact same guys. They're playing with Robbie Anderson. They're playing with Braxton Berrios. They're playing with Eric Ezekam. They're playing with Robert Craycraft. Like they get the same guys allotted to them for the entire game because those guys are fighting positions themselves. So that's just the best way to compare. Like, hey, we have footage of these wide receivers with this quarterback and these same wide receivers with this quarterback, and everybody's just getting tested. It's probably not going to happen, but I think that'd be most ideal.
I think that would be most ideal too, because kind of like in the first preseason game, I think that was the idea for the last preseason game was like, okay, so we saw Mike White first with the 2 3s or 3 4s, and then we saw Skylar with the 4 5s. But now last week we saw Skylar with some 1s and 2s and some 3s. And then towards the end of the game, he was playing like 3s and 4s, which was supposed to be Mike White at that point. So you can kind of evaluate, because the first week, I mean, bro, it was so tough to just watch. He had less than a second every single time he dropped back Skylar Thompson in that first one. So I would really like to see what he can do behind at least our backup offensive line, and do something with that, and see what Mike White can do with them too. I mean, I think we already have a pretty good idea on our offensive line. I think the guys that are in competitions will play. I agree with you. I don't want to see Tua out there. I don't want to see Tyreek out there. I don't want to see Waddle. I don't want to see Armstead. I want all these guys to be nice, healthy, and prepared for the regular season. I feel like they showed that they're game ready last week, coming in and torching, that one drive. But that drive wasn't even scripted. Anyway, and then on the defensive side, I don't want to see Xavier Howard out there. I would like to see a little bit of Cater, because I want to see him play on the boundary just in case he needs to, because we know Cam Smith's coming off injury and Noah's out there also. And then we just signed a corner who is a slot guy. So that's pretty much like, okay, if someone gets hurt, then Cater can move to the outside and this guy can play in the slot. I'm completely blanking on his name right now. So I would like to see how much he has improved on the boundary versus last year, because we already knew he could play the slot and we knew he was pretty decent on the boundary. I want to see if he has any improvements there. Um, Obviously corners, I want to see Igbo, I want to see Cam Smith, I want to see Eli Apple, I want to see all those guys. I want to see Keon Crossan get traded, so I would love to see him miss a tackle on special teams, because that's like the only reason he's on the team.
Jeez.
If he misses a tackle on special teams, I almost guarantee you he's cut. I would love nothing more. And I hate, you know me, like I am like a Dolphins like guy. Like I preach for almost everybody. Like, oh, I hope they find someone to get paid somewhere else.
We know.
You get annoyed by it.
I do.
Keon Crossan is not one of those guys.
Oh, no. Yeah, no.
Yeah, don't care.
Even though it's not even necessarily his fault what happened last year. He was kind of just thrust into a situation he was never supposed to be in. So
it was mostly Boyer's and Crossman's fault, because they're like, oh well, Keon's better on special teams, so we'll just take Keon, even though he was absolutely booty cheeks compared to Igbo in coverage.
So for me, my biggest worry is that Skylar Thompson plays good. Like that is a concern to me, that if he, because we all saw what happened last preseason, how he was the single best player in the entire NFL in preseason last year, and then we saw how just dog water he was when it actually came to game time, right? I don't want him to get, like last week, he played great against the Texans. No complaints about the play itself. I'm afraid he's going to come out and throw 200 yards, two touchdowns, 0 interceptions, 73% completion percentage, and then usurp Mike White on the backup depth chart. Like, I don't want to have that. We saw the Skylar Thompson experiment last year. He's talented. He's got a good arm. He's athletic. He has intangibles. Guess who else does? Trey Lance. Trey Lance is the third string over in San Francisco. He was drafted in the first round with the third pick. Skylar Thompson was drafted in the 7th round. All right? There are guys that are talented. There are guys that have attributes that you want from a quarterback position, but it doesn't mean they're actually good at football. And Skylar Thompson is one of those. I would hate to see him play good on Saturday and him end up getting the number 2 job, whereas Mike White, who, he's not going to pop. It's not going to look pretty. But you know he's just going to lead the offense and do the best to get the ball in the hands of Tyreek Hill, where somehow on God's green earth, Skylar Thompson just can't. He just can't hit receivers. He just can't hit the ball in where guys need the ball. So I'm terrified of him playing good against the Jaguars.
I kind of a little bit disagree with you there. Like I'm starting to get a little bit more on your boat, where like, okay, yeah, he
welcome. We have room.
Been,
we have plenty of room. Please, anybody else who wants, please. We have plenty of room on the Skylar Thompson is trash bandwagon. Come on, look, we have plenty of room.
I'm not completely. I'm like 1 foot on, 1 foot off at this moment. Now we know, once again, you can't take preseason seriously. There's so many guys that just thrive in preseason and don't do anything in the regular season.
I mean, how often was Sam McGuafin the team MVP in preseason and then have like -2 tackles during the season?
I wouldn't say -2, but he just didn't play.
Precisely.
But, with this new rule being said that we can have 3 quarterbacks in uniform on Sunday, and one of them not count towards the roster, but they only play in case the first 2 get injured. With that rule being there, I don't necessarily mind if Skylar is the number 2, just because like I like Mike White. Look, Mike White could either okay, he's not listening.
I'm listening. That's why I'm laughing, is because I'm listening.
The reason I say this is I like Mike White, but he will make an absolute dot throw, an amazing play, and then the very next make the most boneheaded mistake you'll ever see, like a Nathan Peterman type of throw. For example, the interception he had on the very first drive of our preseason game. You know exactly what I'm talking about too. Like, why would you throw that? And he does that too much. We've seen it. He does it in practice as well. He'll have an absolute dot of a throw, and then the very next, like at least with Skyler, he's consistent. So if he happens to be consistently good, that's great. If he happens to be consistently bad,
I 100% disagree with the last thing you said. Skylar Thompson is wildly inconsistent. He's one of the most inconsistent players I've ever seen. He can't hit throws. He looks good everywhere up until the throw. Like the snap. He's tall, he's athletic, he's got some move to him, he's got some pop on the arm. Except then he'll throw 39% completion percentage in a playoff game. I'm not sure if that's the actual number, bear with me. He'll throw below sub 40% in a playoff game, and still the team somehow nearly wins. Look what Chad Henne was able to do with the Kansas City Chiefs, right? I don't want some athletic backup that is going to look nice but not finish. I'd rather have the gym coach behind the offensive line, but he can hit their throws. I'd rather have halfway to the retirement home behind me than someone with Skylar Thompson who just can't hit throws. The offense is designed for guys to hit throws. Skylar Thompson can't hit throws. He can't hit open guys. All right? So Mike White, yeah, obviously he's not great. That's why he's a freaking backup. That's why he's, is he a top 5, top 10 backup? I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. Don't care. Backup for a reason. Your job is to come in and just run the offense. Don't do anything extraordinary. Don't have the biggest arm in the league. Just hit the throws you're asked to throw, because they're going to make the offense so condensed when they bring in the backup quarterbacks. So just do what that offense asks you to do. Don't throw too many interceptions. Lead the team. That's all I ask for. I don't ask for all these extra special attributes that Skylar Thompson has, because when he actually goes to put the product together, it just doesn't happen. It just doesn't work.
So it was actually a 40% completion percentage.
Oh, excuse me. Pardon. I said 39%. Apologies. It was 40%. Thank you, Donovan.
18 of 45 is what he did.
That's so bad. That's so bad. Why does people on this fan base still defend Skylar Thompson? He has not shown us anything outside the preseason last year that he's a capable, good, talented quarterback. All right? What has he done? What has he actually done on a football field? Nothing. You guys are brainwashed. Everyone loves to claim, don't take preseason too seriously. And then when somebody on their team balls out in preseason, a la Skylar Thompson, a la, what's his name? Number 8.
Roberts.
No, the wide receiver that played for us that was worn number 18.
Preston Williams?
Preston Williams had one decent season, had that one wonder beforehand in preseason where he... Shut up, I'm talking.
No.
Preston Williams had a great preseason, he had a decent game, and then has sucked ever since. Or had a decent few games that season. Skylar Thompson was great in preseason, and now he sucks. I don't care if he's on your team. Stop getting obsessed and absorbing yourself with these preseason wonders when you tell every friend you have that's a Cowboys fan, that's a Cardinals fan, that I don't care who they are, you tell all your friends it's just preseason, don't get too hyped up, and then you do the same exact thing with your own team. Why are Dolphins fans doing this?
I think that's just NFL fans in general. I was gonna defend the whole Preston Williams thing, and just take me 2 seconds. Basically, he was a first-round talent that had off-the-field issues and was deemed as a little lazy. So then that's why he went undrafted. Then the Dolphins paid him. He's one of the, more premier undrafted free agents that they picked up. Then he showed out in training camp, practice, preseason, and had a great year, throughout that year when he wasn't injured. And honestly, up until that Cardinals game, he was one of our best receivers on the team.
Not really a tall task to ask.
It wasn't saying too much. But then after that, between that injury, him getting lazy, and then everything else, he fell out of the league. Now he's like, I think he's on a practice squad somewhere. He got cut from Carolina.
He's just not good.
I think he signed somewhere. It's not that he's not good. It's that he's lazy.
That's part of it. I don't care.
It's basically
He's not good.
like the the tackle from that was a first-round pick for Tennessee.
Yeah, I know you're talking about. Doesn't matter to me. He's not good. You can't just say, he's he's good, but this, like, no, like, that's all part of it. Like, I don't care if you have some sort of talent that you showed in high school.
That's not part of it.
But you're just not good then.
That's literally just his off the field issues affecting his on the field issues, and that is the
if you're
same
on the
thing
field,
with
if your off the field issues are bad enough that you play 3 NFL snaps, or you have one good season and are never really heard from again, you're not a good football player. It's part of life. It's not a video game.
NFL player, not you bother me at the football part.
No, you're not a good
football. But you're not
a good professional. You're not a good professional football player.
You're not a good professional. You're not a good professional.
Yeah.
And that's the part. It's the
professional
football.
I don't care if you can go show up to the park, go show up to Tamarack Park. I don't care if you go show up to Mullins Park and you ball out and you're the best person there. If you can't ball out consistently, keep yourself on the field and give the coaches reasons to pick you and not cut you, then I don't have really any sympathy for you. So, like, you're in control of your own destiny in that position. You're on the team already. You already had a good team. You already had a good season. So just, fall in line and continue to do what you did then. And he didn't do that, and now he sucks. Simple as. It's get kind of somewhat back on point. Jaguars, it's like just as impossible to figure out what they're going to do as it is for the Dolphins. Because, like, is Trevor Lawrence going to play? Yeah, maybe. Is Calvin Ridley going to play? Maybe. Christian Kirk going to play? Maybe. Travis Etienne? Maybe. I don't know. Bunch of them? I don't know. Speaking of guys, of quarterbacks that are impressing in preseason that'll probably never do it again, their backup quarterback's pretty cool. So I'm actually excited to see him play because he's kind of been balling. Remember he had that play?
Yeah.
Where he's being grabbed and he's just like, screw you.
I kind of want to see a little bit of T-Law and I want to see a little bit of Calvin Ridley. I want to see that connection.
No, I don't want to see any Calvin Ridley. Please don't get hurt. Just stay on the bench. It's okay.
I want to see all the Calvin Ridley. I want to see all of it.
So just to give you guys context, I drafted him. I jumped in front of him in our dynasty league to draft him. Right. So I draft him. I then trade Calvin Ridley to him in part for Tyreek Hill. Traded him in a first round pick for Tyreek Hill, and then I got Calvin Ridley back from him while still having Tyreek Hill. What'd I give you for Calvin Ridley?
DK, a second round pick and a third round pick.
Yes, and DK was actually picked in the draft before Calvin Ridley was, but that's just how much I value Calvin Ridley and figured out how much I value Calvin Ridley. So he was mad that I took him over him. I gave Calvin Ridley to him, and then I got him back. So he's going to be doing some like New Orleans like black magic voodoo, hoping that Calvin Ridley gets hurt, and that so he's just. Right.
I don't hope that Calvin Ridley gets hurt because I plan on taking him in one of my other like 6 leagues I have yet to draft.
I'm going to cry if you don't end up in any of them.
That's two players that I want that I don't have in other leagues so far: Quentin Johnston and Calvin Ridley.
Well, you also only have like 2 leagues right now that you've drafted in.
I only have 2.
Not even drafted, but you have 2 active rosters.
I have 1 on Friday, 3 on Sunday, and then 1 next Sunday.
Okay, before we get into this talk, because Jacob and Donovan aren't going to do the same thing we did last week. Score prediction, go.
Score prediction, I'm going to be on your side a little bit, like unlike last week. I'm going to go ahead and say 31-10.
So Jacob last week said 27-3. And Price is Right means I got it just about as close as I possibly could because it was 28-3. I am going to be just as overzealous and obnoxious, and I am going to. What'd you say?
I said 31-10.
35-6.
Oh, all right.
And I did this afterwards last time.
Right.